What's something considered to be dumb but actually is a sign of intelligence? Asking questions to help clarify things you don't understand. I'd rather ask stupid questions than make stupid mistakes. And that's what I tell my staff. A wise person has more questions than they have answers. So I went to college to study computer science, and my intro year class was notoriously a difficult, weed out kinda class because the program just didn't have capacity. The professor wasn't mean, but he didn't pull punches. No extra credit assignments, no fluff to pad your grade, no excuses for not doing the assignments and learning the content. Tough but fair. He was also a funny guy, very down to earth, and would joke playfully roast his students in lecture, but always encouraged asking questions. He'd always do the math with tuition and say like, "You all paid $200 to get me in this room lecturing, so if you aren't following along you're wasting $200. Stop me and ask questions, no matter how dumb. Don't let me move on until you're caught up. If you're confused, I guarantee someone else in the class has the same question but is too shy to ask it." There was this one kid, Carter, who decided he was completely fine not being the shy one. He didn't have any CS background coming in, unlike maybe 90% of the CS majors. So in the first few weeks he was taking up like 15 or 20 minutes of our 75-minute lecture asking basic stuff to the point where it became a running joke. He'd ask a dumb question, the professor would roast him but answer it genuinely, then the process would repeat. Some people got really annoyed with how much time it took up. Carter really did not give a shit though and just kept asking his questions, and pretty quickly the questions stopped being dumb. Anyways, Carter got the highest grade in the class on the final exam. I don't know enough about that to have an opinion. Yep, especially with some political topics. But I've noticed a lot of people think themselves experts in scientific topics now. My father-in-law is 100% comfortable disputing the world's foremost experts in atmospheric science and epidemiology despite having exactly 0 minutes of education on either subject. The problem with the world is that the intelligent people are full of doubts, while the stupid ones are full of confidence. Using words that are easy to understand or dumb, so the other person understands you when you explain something. My best friend and I often have this debate. Every so often I'll use a word and he will say, "That's not something usually in your vocabulary," getting tired of this insult. Because he uses it as an insult, I told him that the best speeches, the most memorable speeches, they don't use big words. They use common everyday words that most people understand. There is 0 point in using big words constantly to make yourself sound smart when the people you're talking to don't know the word. All you're doing is making the person you're talking to feel dumb, which may explain why I'm your only friend. Sometimes precision in speech matters, potentially making lesser-known words useful. But other times it's just some a-hole saying, utilize, instead of use. Self-doubt. Intelligent people examine and re-examine everything. Dumb people are confident and satisfied with the first thing they thought. I agree with this one. Many believe that you need to react quickly and give an immediate answer. On the contrary, taking a few seconds to think before answer shows reflection. Hilarious. These days it seems the faster the talker the better. I encounter this so often. People do not think I understood what they said when I am thinking of a measured, thoughtful response. Changing your mind based on new facts and information. Someone on here recently said, "I like being right. I like being right so much just that when I get better information, I change my mind." This is how intelligence should work. Is that really considered dumb? Speaking from my experience, yes, a lot of people believe that staying true to what you believe to be true is not only the smart thing to do since things does not have to change, is about having a strong will and not being easy to manipulate. Emotional intelligence, it gets treated secondary to academic intelligence, but those with emotional intelligence can be truly valuable in negotiations. I feel like the defining skill of emotional intelligence is when to ask how people are feeling versus when to assume how they are feeling. You lean too much into either one and people don't feel like talking to you anymore. Keeping one's mouth shut. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to open it and have all doubts removed. Mispronouncing words because you've only read them in a book. For one thing, it means you actually read. Puns. They're generally understood as low effort and a lesser form of humor, but in my experience, the people who enjoy them the most have a playful relationship to language that correlates with intelligence and literacy. Plus, serial punners are in on the joke about how grown-worthy their humor is, so there's a meta layer to making a particularly awful pun and seeing everyone's eyes roll all the way back into their heads. One of the most satisfying parts of making a pun is the groans you get from the audience. Jokes are for the audience's amusement, puns are for my own. Thanking someone for getting corrected. Apologize and take the first step. Well, shit. I only apologize if it's my fault. Apologizing when it's not your fault can be a calculated decision to move forward, but only use it when the other person isn't necessarily wrong either. Asking a lot of questions. People think it's annoying, but it's how you actually lean and understand things. Going to add listening to, and thinking about, answers to your questions as well. Just asking does nothing if you don't also actively engage with the answers. I've bumped into situations where an intelligent person uses what if scenarios to ponder on a subject, and someone I'd consider less intelligent just goes, but that's not how it is. I'm willing to bet the second person mentioned would consider the first one dumb for thinking like that. This is a great one and resonated with me. I've been in many meetings like this, where I propose a change or an idea, and someone shuts it down because it's not how things are currently, as if I didn't know this. I have learned that many people genuinely don't have the capacity for abstract thought. They can't do the what if scenarios, even senior leaders. Instead, I have learned I need to just go ahead and do it as a prototype, and then walk them through the new concept. Then you still get the, but that's not what we do now. What you are proposing would mean slightly modifying Jim's current job. Yes, but the flip side is it would double productivity for 10 other staff. People who say, but that's not how it is, to what if questions, which are entirely hypothetical, make me so fucking mad I can't even. Changing your mind when presented with new, legitimate evidence showing your current stance is incorrect in some manner. Too many people seem to think changing your mind for any reason, much less a considered one, is dumb or weak-minded. Really, reevaluating what you think and believe based on new information is the smartest thing a person can do. I completely agree. I think this is fundamental, but it is two-sided. I am willing to change my position if someone provides me evidence that suggests that I'm more likely wrong than right. Unfortunately, I have found that most people who disagree with me have no interest in convincing me why they think I'm wrong. They only want to ridicule and belittle. That's not going to get us anywhere as a society. I think we need to be willing to defend our position even if it feels like we are stooping to someone's level to do it. To deny someone an explanation during a disagreement is just elitism. Being able to appreciate simplicity. Saying, I don't know, or, yes, I was wrong. Not having opinions on everything, and what opinions you do have are often nuanced and not rigid or strictly ideological. Waiting your turn before giving your piece. Also staying quiet and just listening to the conversation. I think some people assume that this means you don't understand what's going on, but a lot of the time it's the unintelligent ones yapping about stuff they don't understand, especially whilst interrupting and speaking over someone. Seeming aloof. Highly intelligent people stay in their heads a lot, trying to figure out how simple things work. Question something that have been a long-standing thing, where things came from, how it started become a long-standing thing, and wonder if it is still relevant, efficient by modern-day standard and more. The other things is simply saying, I don't know, or I don't understand, which you really mean it, speaking without absolute confidence, and hinting the possibility of being wrong, incorrect, failing a risk. A lot of times, being quiet and humble is mistaken for lack of intelligence. I've found that to be quite the opposite. Taking a longer than usual pause before answering a question. In a job interview once I replied, I'm not nervous, I just want to think about that for a second. Afterwards I was told that stood out to the interviewer. Not following the news. Most people consider following the news as something that makes them smart. Most news is just entertainment, and doesn't impact your life in a way you can affect. Listening instead of talking over others constantly. What's something considered to be dumb but actually is a sign of intelligence? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.